Call this meeting to order. Town Watts, would you deliver the invocation, please?
Creator, thank you for this beautiful day and the life-giving rain that we've all been given. But watch over those who might be in danger from those same rains. And during this difficult hurricane season, I know we have a lot of Cherokees down south and other people. Please watch over those who protect us. The marshals, the local police, and those who serve us overseas to fight for our freedoms. Watch over us here as we conduct the business of the Cherokee Nation. Help us have the grace, the compassion, and the understanding to serve the people in the best way each of us individually can and to make better choices each day on behalf of the whole nation, the tribe. Watch over those in D.C. who serve us. Watch over us during this political season, that we may all survive it. Give us strength, and thank you for all that you do for us. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Town Watts. Roll call.
Buell England.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Julia Coates. Here. Bradley Cobb.
Honey.
Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Jody Fishinghop. Here. Meredith Fraley. Here. Janelle Fulbright.
Here.
Don Garvin. Chuck Hoskin Jr.
Here.
Hannah Glory Jordan.
Present.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
Chris Soap.
Here.
David Thornton.
Present.
Eric Allen Watts.
Honey. We have a quorum. Next order of business is approval of the August 11, 2008 regular session minutes.
Move for approval. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the August 11 minutes? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Next are the August 28 special session minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Madam Speaker,
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add item number 11, which is to consider the approval of the comprehensive budget for fiscal year 2009 that was passed in our budget hearings last week.
Second.
It's item 11 under new business.
Yes.
Any discussion on amending the agenda? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, next is State of the Nation. Deputy Chief Grayson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Chief Smith is in Washington tonight on nation business. He sends his regards and regrets that he cannot be here tonight. I begin tonight's report by remembering our fellow Cherokee citizens who passed from this life this last month. Susie Ketcher, Dorothy Wolf Brackett, Nathan Young Jr., former Sequoia employee Billy Robertson. Could we observe a moment of silence, please? Thank you. Tonight, it gives me great pleasure to announce our honored Cherokee veteran. Tonight, we honor Josiah Hare. Is he in the audience, please? Would you come down? Josiah was born in 1961 to Jim and Mary Hare at W.W. Hastings Hospital in Tahlequah. Josiah enlisted in the Navy in 1981 as an aviation electronics mate. His first duty assignment was in San Diego, and he worked on Sea King helicopters. After promotion to Petty Officer Second Class in 1984, he was transferred to Washington State, where he worked on A-6E intruders. His squadron was part of Carrier Air Wing 9 attached to the USS Kitty Hawk, CV-63. The ship was deployed on cruises in 1985 to the Western Pacific and the Indian Ocean, and in 1987 it sailed on a world cruise. In 1987, the ship and crew was awarded the Navy Expeditionary Medal for its work on a 400-day crisis in Iraq. On August 87, Josiah was honorably discharged. During his career in the Navy, he was awarded the Good Conduct Medal, the Navy Expedition Medal, the Sea Service Ribbon, the Battle E Ribbon, and Meritorious Unit Citation. After his military service, he entered the civilian workforce working on commercial aircraft, and for the last 19 years made his home in Seattle, Washington. In 2006, he moved back to Oklahoma to work for the U.S. Air Force. He is presently working at Tinker Air Force Base as a civil service aircraft electrician. He supports the war on terrorism by repairing E-3 AWACS aircraft. Josiah is actively involved in the Indian community in and around Oklahoma City and across the state. He is a member of the Kiowa Gourd Dance Society, attends native events with his wife Valerie, and Josiah's daughter is a senior this year at Moore High School, and she has expressed a desire to enlist in the U.S. Navy upon graduation. Is your wife here, sir? Yeah. Would you have her come down, please? Well, I'll go ahead with this, and she can. Josiah, I'm going to pin this National Medal of Patriotism on your chest, sir. It's a medal that we give
to our Cherokee veterans. We are very proud of our veterans. And you have earned it, and we deeply appreciate your service to the U.S. Army and to the Cherokee Nation. This is the corporate memorial.
Yeah, man. And you proceed with the Cherokee Warriors, please. And get in the middle, but get right here between us.
Okay.
There we go. Let me get my glasses off. I can see the camera. Thank you, sir. You want to say something?
Well, what is there to say? You've actually said it all. I'm very proud that my daughter is going to carry on, I guess, somewhat of a tradition. My father was a Marine, so I broke the mold and went into the Navy, and she seems to want to carry on that. So she's very proud of the fact that her father served in the Navy, and she wants to continue on that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Cherokee National Youth Choir has been nominated for 2 Native American Music Awards. This group has been nominated in the Best Gospel Inspirational Recording and the Best Historical Recording categories for its latest CD, Precious Memories. Fans of the Cherokee Nation Youth Choir can vote online for their favorite artist at www.votenative.com and www.nativeamericanmusicawards.com. And hopefully all of you will vote more than one time. And tonight we have the new Miss Cherokee, Feather Smith, with us tonight. She was recently be crowned Miss Cherokee in the 56th Annual Cherokee National Holiday. Feather is the daughter of Rex and Marie Smith of Tahlequah and is currently enrolled at Northeastern State University and is majoring in zoology. She is a Cherokee storyteller and enjoys making traditional crafts and playing stickball. Her platform for the year is reading and stressing to our Cherokee children the importance of the written word. Our new Miss Cherokee leadership serves as a goodwill ambassador and messenger to promote the government, history, language, and culture of the Cherokee Nation. May I present Feather Smith, Miss Cherokee. Would you like to say something, Feather?
Thank you all for having me here today. I'd like to first say I'm sorry for being dressed so casually. I just came from school and, working at the Heritage Center. But thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited to get to serve this year. I hope to attend as many functions this year as possible and, of course, to represent the tribe the best I can. Hope to make everybody proud. Hold on.
Thank you, Feather. Thank you very much. And perhaps next month we can meet our new Little Miss and Mr. Cherokee. I want to thank everyone for attending this year's Cherokee National Holiday. Chief Smith and I especially want to thank all of our volunteers who work so hard to give us another good Cherokee holiday. Wadon. The Cherokee Nation will host the Saline Springhouse groundbreaking event this Thursday at 10:30 on the grounds of the historic Saline Courthouse. Everyone is invited, and if you have any questions, you can contact Diana Turtle at 453-5289. And we have several community meetings this month, and I'm sure the council will let you know when we announce all the announcements at the end of the meeting. Thank you very much for listening to me.
There's none pending, so we'll go on to committee reports. First is David Sutherland with the Housing Authority. Good evening, Mr. Sutherland.
Good evening. I got a really brief report this evening. The Housing Authority's regular board meeting will be the September the 19th. It's this Friday in the Allen Hogner Administration Building Conference Room. The meeting will begin at 2 o'clock. It's a real light agenda. The board will be considering a couple of requests for upgrades to 2 different water districts. One of those in Cherokee County out north of town, and the other one's just this side of Fort Gibson in Muskogee County. Next week there will be a HUD consulting firm on site to do an assessment of the effectiveness of NAHASDA. I think they're going to be here for 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They plan on having a couple of community meetings. The first one is in Tahlequah, the evening of the 22nd, and that'll be at the Greg Glass building. And the second one is at J on the 23rd. I don't really know. It's just in the evening, but I don't know exact time. I'll get that to you all. And that's at the J Senior Housing Building. Our Community Shield program has went over the 2,300 mark. It's at 2,305. We've got 2,305 families on that program now. Ameren, who's the carrier for that program, will have its annual meeting next month in December, in San Diego. I believe the dates are 7th through the 9th. Some of you all have maybe attended that in the past. If you interested, be sure and get a hold of me or Amy, and we can get you that information. That's my report for the evening. If anyone has any questions, I'll sure try to answer them.
Any questions for Mr. Sutherland? No? Thank you. Next report is Cherokee Nation Enterprises, David Stewart.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We continue to have good operating results. I'm reporting for the month of July. We're approximately 15% above our numbers for the previous year and about 5% above year to date. So despite some of the rumblings across the country, we continue to have good results, and I believe it's all about our employees. Are doing an excellent job, and they'll continue to do so. We have 2 openings coming up. Of course, West Siloam is in about 60 days, so we'll hold our first Native American job fair on September 17th through 18th, and it will be exclusively for Native Americans, and then we'll fill the rest of the positions after that point. So I encourage you to bring everyone to our HR department. We're going to be hiring very aggressively for West Siloam. And then in 90 days, we will open Catoosa, the first phase. So we'll go through that same process. So I encourage you to come down and talk to C&E. We're gonna need a lot of people. So it's a good thing. We'll have very good jobs and good paying jobs for our people. That's my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Mr. Stewart?
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Next report is Cherokee Nation Industries. Mr. Collins couldn't be here, so Mr. DeBorstep is going to report. He's a Chief Financial Officer for CNI.
Thank you. Good evening. Total employees for CNI for the month of August total 410. That was 88% Cherokee. Operating results for the month of August were mixed. Revenue was substantially lower than the budget. Actual revenue amounted to $5,998,000 as compared to a budget of over $9 million. The revenue shortfall was due to the rescheduling of product delivery for 2 major accounts, Sikorsky and L3. So that revenue deficiency in August should hopefully prove fruitful to the months of September and October. Also, the other part of that revenue decrease was from our telecom group, which is due to the overall slowdown in the economy. As a result of the decrease in revenue, CNI had a loss of $163,000 for the month of August. The good news is that the loss of $163,000 was substantially lower than the same loss we had last year, which was $563,000, and last year we had substantially more revenue. So I think some of the improvements that we're making in efficiency in our new manufacturing plant in Stillwell is starting to show improvements to the bottom line. That's my report. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. DeBorstep? No, thank you.
Thank you.
Carson, Cherokee Nation Business. Good evening, Mr. Carson.
Good evening, Madam Speaker. I do apologize for missing last week's E&F and Rules Committee. I was a little under the weather, and so I would be happy, of course, to answer any questions here that I would usually entertain there. Just a couple of words about things that are going to be in the news over the next 6 weeks. Those of you who attend our board meetings regularly, and there are many of you here who do just that, know what the strategy of C&B is. We are charged, of course, with providing oversight under the Jobs Growth Act of all the various subsidiaries that C&B owns, as well as diversifying our business interests and expanding our business interests as well. To that end, of course, we're in the budgeting season. We do expect, as Mr. Baker often requests, to know exactly how much we will be borrowing. We will be making our first draw on the Bank of America credit line that this council approved probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It will be about $10 million. It will be largely for the landfill and related projects, although we carry a global budget, and so that money is in the end fungible. We do expect, if the budgets are approved by the boards over the next 2 and 3 weeks, when there will be various board meetings, I apologize, with various board meetings, that we will probably borrow perhaps $110 to $115 million over the course of fiscal year 2009. In terms of what our strategy is going to be from just CMB's perspective, we make a number of investments. On one hand, we make investments purely for economic development that may not have a high return, but we think promote the creation of jobs and better communities in northeastern Oklahoma. At the same time, we're always looking to invest money in ways outside of perhaps the 14 counties, in Tulsa and other parts of Oklahoma, even outside the state, if we can bring some of that business back to northeastern Oklahoma, or if we can find ways to leverage that business to promote economic development or job growth or profitable businesses here in the 14 counties. So to that end, over the next 6 weeks, we'll be hearing about a number of projects. Some of you who serve on our board have already been privately informed of these. We're making a multi-million-dollar announcement about a healthcare project here in Cherokee County that we think will both be profitable for C&B and the Cherokee Nation while greatly expanding services to this area as well. So we'll be giving some detail about that project. We're also investing in an aerospace company that we think will prove synergistic with what C&I is already doing, while also expanding their capabilities, while branching out into some areas that are new and will prove quite profitable for us. It's not located in the 14 counties, but we can bring some of that business here as well. Finally, of course, regarding the landfill. We're going to be investing in the landfill over the next 12 months, about $13 million. Since July 1st, all of the costs of the landfill related to both the employees and the Fayetteville contract are being borne by C&B and are no longer part of the nation. And we are in the process of hiring a CEO, which has delayed the start of the construction, but we expect to have both a CEO for that Cherokee Nation Waste Management, as that company is now termed, and also beginning construction within really a matter of days. So that's a brief update on what is a very busy time of the year for us as we come to the end of fiscal year 08. Of course, I would be happy to answer any questions about C&B or our subsidiaries or other matters.
No questions? Thank you for that good
Thank
report.
you, Madam Chairman.
Next item is old business, and we brought back the amendment to the criminal code, Title 57. Ms. Watts?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. At this time, I would like to make a motion to send it back to rules in the September meeting.
Have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under new business, our secretary here has included the committees from which all of these acts and resolutions derive. So those are listed there under before each act or resolution. First one is Community Services Committee, is a resolution authorizing submittal of a grant to for the transitional living services for youth. Mr. Buzzer.
Yes. This is to renew a 5-year federal grant application with the U.S. Family and Youth Services Bureau, Runaway and Homeless Youth Program, for a yearly amount of $150,000. Its funding availability date would be April 1st of 2009. There's a matching requirement of 10%, which is proposed as in-kind in this application. I move for its approval.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under the Health Committee report, legislation is a resolution proclaiming the month of September as Alcohol and Drug Recovery Month within the Cherokee Nation. Dr. Cobb or Ms. Fulbright?
United States Department of Health and Human Services Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration has declared the month of September 2008 as National Alcohol and Drug Addiction Recovery Month. The purpose of this declaration aims to promote the societal benefits of alcohol and drug use disorder treatment, applaud the contributions of treatment providers, and promote the message that recovery from alcohol and drug use in all its forms. The Cherokee Nation recognizes and values the sobriety and spiritual, mental, emotional, physical wellness of our citizens, and fully recognizes the need for sobriety and recovery from chemical dependence as a key to the nation's overall health. This resolution would declare September 2008 the National Native American Wellbriety Month and promote drug and alcohol addiction recovery within the Cherokee Nation, and I move for approval.
Second. Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 3 is an act establishing additional health clinics within the Cherokee Nation. Ms. Gloria Jordan.
This is an act that shall be known as the Comprehensive Health Facility Act of 2008. It is an act that would establish the following health clinics: a new medical clinic located at Tahlequah, Oklahoma, a new medical clinic at Jay, Oklahoma, a dental clinic at Salina, Oklahoma, a new medical clinic at Veneta, Oklahoma. It also has a provision for identification of the funding for those clinics and has a provision that the Cherokee Nation shall not object to the continuance of what we commonly call IPA agreements, the intra-governmental personnel agreements established between the current employees of WW Hastings Hospital, having the result that those employees who currently choose to remain federal employees will continue to have that option. I would put that in the form of a motion.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Dr. Cobb.
Just to be clear, I will not be supporting this. I feel like the Cherokee Nation Health Group has a plan already in place. I feel that this is mostly redundant, and I don't believe in placing restrictions on any group leaders as far as I feel like this is doing. I believe that the IHPs at Hastings was addressed in the Hastings discussions that we had. So that's the reason for my vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I just have to respectfully disagree with my friend from Bartlesville. I don't find the legislation to be redundant. What I find it to be is an action by the council to embrace plans that the administration has already embraced. It's, in my view, not uncommon in our type of government that the legislative branch would review plans that the administration has been considering, say those plans are worthy of the legislative branch to embrace, and then to do so, and that's what we're really doing here today. I think also this legislation is a great companion to the Hastings resolution that we passed some weeks ago, because it includes, of course, as one of the cornerstones to this legislation, also a cornerstone to the Hastings legislation, which is the establishment of the clinic at Tahlequah. I think that those two pieces of legislation taken together will take us in a really strong direction as far as health care for the Cherokee people, so I would urge my colleagues to support this.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I find the legislation somewhat disconcerting because we've already passed a comprehensive capital plan, and I think it's important to respect that plan, and we've looked at it, it's been presented, it's available to Cherokee citizens, but if we pass this legislation, it creates a misrepresentation to the public in that we would somehow be putting emphasis on a portion of the plan but not the entire comprehensive plan. It looks at capital projects and not the need to look at the Claremore Indian Hospital and how it affects our Rogers County and other tribal citizens in the area that can only be served by that IHS facility. So it does a couple of things in that I think it takes resources away from our health department at a very critical time because it puts a 6-month time limit on identifying the funding resources for these particular, a portion of the plan that's been taken out to satisfy a few folks or a few areas, a few districts. And it would take needed resources away from our health staff or administration in the health area that need to focus on the transition over the next 6 months of making sure that Hastings is successful. This is a critical time. We don't need to be spending time necessarily on meeting a deadline for political reasons in order to identify funding resources for just a few. The other thing that it does, if you understand Indian Health Services formulary on how it provides funding for capital projects, is I have a big concern about how it sets aside a Tahlequah clinic on top of a hospital, because the way I understand Indian Health Service funding is you can't go and seek Indian Health Service funding on top of existing facilities. So it would almost, the way I read it, and I think the intent and the debate behind this particular piece of legislation is it almost mandates that the tribe would then take funds away from other areas across the 14 counties who need funding sources, and it would make sure that the tribe has to spend money for a clinic on top of an existing hospital, rather than looking at options such as clinics within a hospital facility in order to facilitate the movement of patients and providing health care using our dollar the most efficient way that we possibly can. So when you look at all that, I know that's probably a lot, but that's the way I look at it when I go to IHS and have to be on national committees that deal with facility funding. You're going to hamstring the Cherokee Nation and potentially create funding issues with capital projects and then ongoing maintenance. So I can't support this, not because I don't support the facilities that it highlights, but there's another mechanism that's been provided, and that's the way we should be going, and not looking at highlighting certain facilities for political reasons potentially. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Mr. Baker and then Mr. Hoskins.
Yes. Of course, the majority of this council voted to take over Hastings over objections of some of the council people that represent a good part of the employee, or most of the employees, and a good part of the constituents that use it. And in all of the arguments that were made, nobody disagreed that if we took over Hastings, that we were going to make it better. And I think everybody said that's why I'm going to do it, is because we're going to make it better. Hastings is overcrowded. It's taking care of 3 times or 4 times the number of people that it was ever designed to take care of. Traditionally, Hastings has been serving a multitude of people in the emergency room that could be more efficiently taken care of in an outpatient clinic. Now, if we're going to make Hastings successful and make the dollars go further, then let's build this clinic right there across the parking lot, so that 90% of the folks that are going to the emergency room right now, which is the most expensive health care that you can possibly get, is going into the emergency room for a broken finger or a cold or a baby with the flu or any of these things. Let them go to the urgent care center after hours, be treated, and if it rates to the emergency room, then they can send them right across the hall. And it'll make Hastings more successful, it'll make the dollars go further, and it makes sense at this time to put it on the front burner and make these people from some of these other areas stop waiting for the last 15 years for the dental clinic they've been promised. So I've got to be for this, and I certainly hope that everybody else, plus, as Dr. Cobb said, it's redundant. Well, it's really not, because this is the only place that's ever been put in writing that the employees that have been so faithful at Hastings for the last, some of them 20 years, it's the only place that it says, hey, you can stay a federal employee till you retire, and we will not object to it. And it's the only assurance, but we told them that. But we also told them 10 years ago we'd never take over Hastings. So, folks, let's put it in writing, let's make it a law, and let's go forth and prosper with better health for our people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Mr. Hoskins?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just have to take some issue with Councilor Cowan-Watts characterizing this as political in nature. I mean, this legislation embraces a number of clinics that have already been identified by the administration as something that's important to the future of our health care. That is just the plain truth. And I think it is important to put the emphasis on a clinic in Tahlequah because that was part of the sale. That was part of the sales pitch that the administration made that said Hastings is important. We need to take it over. We can make it better if we can take some of the load, as Councilor Bill John Baker said, off of the hospital. This will do that. In all of the issues that were raised at committee, I don't recall a single time that the administration said that in 6 months it couldn't identify funding sources. So this idea that our staff, which is very competent, very capable, will somehow be taxed in terms of their resources so that Hastings will suffer if they have to identify funding sources for these clinics, Madam Speaker, I just don't buy it. And I think we should pass it.
Thank you, Mr. Hoskin. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? This is an act, so it'll be a roll call.
Joe Crittenden,
Yes.
Jody Fishinghawk,
Yes.
Meredith Braley,
Yes.
Janelle Fulbright,
Yes.
Don Garvin,
No.
Chuck Hoskin Jr.,
Yes.
Anna Gloria Jordan,
Yes.
Curtis Snell,
Yes.
Chris Soap,
Yes.
David Thornton,
Yes.
Eric Allen Watts,
No.
Bill Anglin,
No.
Bill John Baker,
Yes.
Jack Baker,
Yes.
Harley Buzzard,
Yes.
Julia Coates,
No.
Bradley Cobb.
No.
12 yes and 5 no.
12 yes, 5 no, motion carries. Okay, under the resource, coming out of Resource Committee is number 4, resolution authorizing the placement of land in trust for Three Rivers Health Center. Mr. Garvin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The purpose of this resolution is to authorize placement United States of America in trust for Cherokee Nation of the Three Rivers Health Center property in Muskogee containing approximately 29 and 98 acres. I make a motion we approve this resolution.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5 is a resolution authorizing a mineral lease at Chilocco and Kay County. Mr. Anglin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The purpose of this resolution is to authorize leasing of minerals under the Chilocco School lands property in Kay County. The leasing will be as provided for in Public Law 99-283, and I move for its approval.
Second motion.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Dr. Cobb.
I'm in favor of this. I do want the council to file something away when we do get a reporting committee on this. We're talking about minerals and we're talking about drilling. And some of the things that I want you to file away when we get reports on this, some of the things that I would bring forth is, have we negotiated mandatory drilling requirements within the lease term? Have we negotiated land reclamation in all phases? That would be drilling, exploration, and production. What is the royalty, and is the royalty paid at the wellhead? Is it paid at the pipeline, or is it paid at the facility? Have we retained an oil and gas attorney? What social programs are the oil and natural gas company or the oil and gas companies willing to negotiate? Are they willing to negotiate upgrading our schools, scholarships, and tribal infrastructure? It's important that all the tribes are involved in this. I just wanted to put forth, when we do get reports in committee, those are some of the things you need to ask. So I will be in favor of this to move forward on that, but I think those are important points. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Dr. Baker, Mr. Baker.
Brad, are these some things that we need to nail down before we agree to the lease?
Do I have the floor?
Sure.
In my opinion, no, because the longer we wait on the lease, the longer we wait to hamstring them moving forward. But before anything can be done, it has to come through committee. And I feel if we hold this up, we're going to hold up because we're not just dealing with us, we're dealing with the other tribes. And I've looked into this enough to know that we're going to hamstring the whole operation. But when it comes back to committee, these are things we need to ask. That would be my opinion on that.
Tanya? Jordan?
Well, it appears that we're giving the authority to go ahead and do the lease. So which committee are we thinking it's going to come back to?
we reported on today in resource, I believe, were we not?
If you pass this resolution, it doesn't appear that it's going to come back anywhere. It's going to move forward.
Want me to respond to
Yes,
that?
Dr. Cobb, continue.
If I'm not mistaken, we get a report every month in resource committee from the negotiation team on that.
But once the lease is approved, these things that you're talking about negotiating may no longer be, we'll no longer be able to add them into an already approved lease.
My understanding from my discussions is that's not the case at this juncture.
We might ask Linda Donaldson.
Linda here, Linda Donaldson. Oh, yeah. Linda, can you come to the mic so that we can hear you, please?
Can I say something? Yeah, we need some advice here because most of us in this part of the Cherokee Nation don't have any oil or gas.
Right now, we are in the negotiation stages with the oil and gas company that we're talking to. It's a Sullivan Companies who is doing a partnership with Bruce Fadum in Tulsa, and they're a group that have been working with the Osage tribes on doing a lot of their oil and gas leasing there. And we're looking at doing a lot of similar terms on that aspect. So what we're looking at is having this resolution to go forward tonight so that we can go ahead and continue negotiating to try to put together a deal. But I understand that Dr. Cobb is wanting to see if we can put some additional terms on the table as we do our negotiating with it. And as we have not yet done the total negotiations yet, I have no problem with coming before the committee next month to let them know where we're at and what aspect they are, where we are before we do a final lease.
Dr. Cobb, you're not making these, are you making these mandatory requirements or?
No, those are just things that I wanted the council to be aware of when you're negotiating on natural gas leases. Those are things we need to know before we blanket pass something. My intent was not to hold up negotiations, but my intent was to alert the council to the fact that these are important points.
Mr. Hoskin and then Mr. So.
Madam Speaker, I have a question, Ms. Donaldson. You have been engaged in negotiations even in the absence of this resolution, obviously.
We have been trying to nail down what they would be willing to put on the table as terms.
I mean, it seems to me, Madam Speaker, that Ms. Donaldson's able to engage in at least some negotiations. Frankly, I think her hand would be stronger if we could explore some of the issues that Dr. Cobb's raised. I think they're good issues to consider, and frankly, I hadn't considered. I'm concerned about passing this tonight. I don't want to put Ms. Donaldson in an impossible situation, but I'm just not hearing that we will put her in an impossible situation. So, Ms. Donaldson, if I could direct another question, could you continue to engage in at least some limited negotiations while we consider more some of these issues that Dr. Cobb has raised?
Yes, we can.
Well, in view of that, Madam Speaker, I would move to table this resolution.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Thank
Do you
you.
have something you need to say, Ms.?
No, it's okay, because I do have the other tribes to deal with as well, and so since we're still in considerations of their resolutions, there is more time to deal with this situation.
Great. Thank you very much for being here. And item 6 is a resolution authorizing a right-of-way easement over trust land in Adair County. Mr. Crittenden.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This easement will provide driveway access to a gentleman. It's a roadway that's been there for a long time. This is limited to a 15-year term, and we're waiving any kind of compensation. We're just trying to get this right so this gentleman can utilize it and have an easement. And I would move for the approval.
Second. Moved in second. Any discussion? Mr. Soap?
Is this the personal residence?
Yes.
Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 7 is, Item 7 is a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution providing for the replacement of council member due to removal, death, or designation or disability. Councilman Jack Baker.
Yes, Madam Speaker, thank you. This is a resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution which would have to be voted on by the Cherokee Nation, people of the Cherokee Nation at the general election. At the time the Constitution was written, there was no provision for runoff elections, and if there were 8 to 10 people, which was common, running for a couple of positions, then the top 2 vote getters would receive those 2 positions. So at that time, the Constitution makes sense where if one of them died, then the next person getting the highest number of votes would get the position. But since we have runoffs, then it would, in our elections, there could be someone running for election that would get 5 to 10% of the vote. And if the council person would die, then that minority person would then be the new representative. So I move to strike that and add that the council shall fill the vacated seat in the following manner. If a majority of the 4-year term remains to be served, the council shall authorize a special election to be conducted within 90 days. And if a minority of the 4-year term remains to be served, the council shall elect a replacement who would otherwise be qualified to serve from the district of the vacated seat. So I make a motion that we approve this.
Second.
And seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
1. Motion carries. Item 8 is a resolution confirming the nomination of Ima McCollum as a board member of the Comprehensive Care Agency. Ms. Tina Jordan?
I would make a motion that we confirm Ima Jean McCollum as a board member of the Cherokee Nation Comprehensive Care Agency Board of Directors.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is a resolution authorizing a limited waiver of sovereign immunity. Mr. Baker.
Madam Chairman, at this time I'd ask to table this per David Stewart, as they're still in negotiations and they're not really ready for it.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries to table. Under Executive and Finance, we have an act which is Mod 11 to the 2008 Comprehensive Budget. Mr. Baker.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. This modification 11 to our 2008 budget increases the spending authority by approximately $1.5 million, which includes $88,000 for a Cherokee National Holiday, insurance proceeds from the Housing Authority of $287,000, and then the Indian Health Service additional funds for contract health of $1,084,000. So this brings our total budget authority for 2008 spending authority to approximately $484 million. I'm going to make a motion that we approve it.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
By acclamation.
By acclamation. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 11 is the new item that was added. It's an act authorizing and approving the fiscal year 2009 budget. Mr. Baker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is an act authorizing the comprehensive budget for fiscal year 2009. We had 3 days of budget hearings before the Tribal Council last week, where we went over all of the different items in the budget. And this budget gives us a spending authority for fiscal year 2009 of $478 million. And I'd make a motion that we approve it.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Ms. Calmont?
Again, I just want to extend thanks to all the employees and all the staff, and even Chief Smith, even though he's not here, and our staff and this tribal council for the efficiency of the budget hearing process, at least from where I came from 5 years ago when I started on council. That was an incredible experience last week, and I appreciate all the hard work that went into it by everybody involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other, Mr. Crittenden?
I just second that.
I don't think that was a motion.
No, it wasn't a motion, but here, here.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Baker.
Yeah, and it was a relatively smooth budget hearing, and I'm extremely proud that we were able to extend our educational dollars for scholarships. We were able to raise our funding to Boys and Girls Club. We were able to raise our funding to contract health. We go down the budget of the things that we do for our people, and almost every line item we were able to bump up and take some of those gaming dollars, if you will, and put it where the rubber hits the road. And I'm extremely pleased we were able to extend the summer youth program to not quite year-round, but will allow the kids to go ahead and be interns through Christmas. And it's going to help a lot of our junior, senior, and college students have a work-study program where they can continue to learn and continue to serve the tribe while they go to school. And we could go on and on with some of these things that this council had the heart to put our money where our mouth was. And I'm extremely proud of this budget.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Ms. Jordan?
I also want to thank the employees, both for the council and for the tribe, on helping us get prepared and participating in this project. I also want to make a special note in order to balance the budget, Diane Hammonds gave a substantial amount of money back to the general fund so that we could balance the budget. Dr. Morton reorganized his budget within his area so that could be accomplished. I see several people out here. Diane Kelly participated to a great extent in reorganizing her budget. I think Linda Donaldson, even everyone here in this room is to be thanked, because we came out with a balanced budget after maneuvering around at least, I believe, $5 million, and those were in direct services to the people. It increased direct services to our people, and I want to thank the staff I mentioned, especially because without them working with us, that would not have been accomplished. It was a great budget process this year. Very good learning experience.
Any other comments?
Acclamation.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now down to announcements. Who's having the cry first? Ms. Count Watts.
I yield to Mr. Garvin because he actually had his hand up.
Okay.
I think Kara should go first. Hers is about 3 days before mine, and go ahead.
Okay, so on Saturday, our annual hog fry is going to be at the Will Rogers Memorial from 10 to 2 in Claremore. Just come pack the house, I guess. And hopefully it's good weather, so bring your blankets or chairs for the lawn out on the memorial lawn. And I'm hoping I have enough food. The other thing, too, is this evening at 6:30, I believe the what do we call them, the medium-sized kids, youth choir, is having a concert at the ballroom on the complex. Is that correct? Is that still on tonight? So if people can stop by after this, I think they'd probably appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Garvin.
She mentioned hog fry, but she didn't mention anything about lipstick, so we won't get into that. The date of the Indian Tacos is in Muskogee on September the 23rd. It's going to be at the Three Rivers Health Center. It's from 4:30 to 6:30. So if you like Indian tacos, be sure to be there. September the 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garvin. Anyone else? Entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, please.
David Thornton and I are going to have our community meeting September the 30th on Tuesday night at the Sequoia County Fairgrounds, and we're having hog fry, and we want as many people from the council to come as they can, and everybody's invited. We're looking for a really big turnout.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Adjourn.
Second, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We adjourn at, we finished 4 hours.